I'm writing this from a hotel room about 60 miles from where we left our gear, our food, our tents, everything. We ran. I don't even care what it cost to replace it all. Nothing is worth going back to that place. We didn't know that when we planned the trip. It was supposed to be a weekend getaway, just me, Tyler, my brother, Aaron, and our friend, Gabe. We'd been hiking and camping together for years. Gabe found this hidden gem spot online that barely had any trail markings and promised total seclusion. He said the place used to be a scout camp in the 70s, but was abandoned after a fire. I should have known better. Any place that sounds that perfect is hiding something. We drove that Friday afternoon and hiked in maybe 4 miles. The forest was dead quiet. Not like peaceful quiet, unnaturally quiet. No birds, no bugs, no rustling. Even our footsteps felt muted, like the ground was absorbing the sound. We made camp near a creek and set up 2 tents, cracked a few beers, cooked some food, and laughed about how creepy the place felt. Gabe even said, "It's like the trees are holding their breath. If only we'd listened to that instinct." The first sign, around 1 a.m., I woke up to the sound like branches cracking, not snapping from the wind, intentional breaks, one after another. I figured it was a deer or maybe Gabe messing around, but I peeked out of the tent anyway. I saw nothing, but I heard something. Wet breathing, like someone with damaged lungs, exhaling through spit and phlegm. It circled the tent, slow, deliberate. I didn't wake Aaron. I just stayed still, heart hammering in my ears, until the sound drifted away. The morning I told the others. Gabe laughed it off. Aaron looked uneasy. He had a dream where something was dragging itself through the trees, something with too many arms. The claw marks. Later that day, we went exploring upstream, about half a mile from camp. We found what looked like a torn up animal carcass, but we couldn't even tell what kind of animal it was. It had been ripped open, organs half missing, ribs shattered like glass. There were scratch marks on a nearby tree, 5 deep grooves running down from head height to the base. We didn't even talk much after that. We should have left, but of course we didn't. It came that night. I didn't know what time it was when I woke up, but I remember the sound, something dragging across the ground, something heavy. Then I heard Gabe scream. I tore open the tent and shined my flashlight toward his. It was half collapsed, and something stepped out from behind it. It wasn't human. It looked like a man who'd been melted and stretched. Its skin was patchy, molted with open sores and folds of flesh that hung like wet laundry. Its arms were long, too long, and dragged behind it like dead weight. One shoulder was hunched up nearly to its ear. The other seemed dislocated and hung loose. It twitched constantly, head jerking, legs spasming with each step. But its face, God, I can't forget its face. It had no lips, just exposed teeth, yellow and cracked. The skin around its eyes were peeled back, as if it had clawed it off itself. The eyes bulged, like they were going to pop out, and the sound it made wasn't a growl or a scream, it was like someone trying to mimic human speech through broken glass, wet and guttural. Aaron yanked me backward and we ran. We didn't even check on Gabe. I know that sounds horrible, but the tent was soaked with blood. I could smell it. It was like copper and rot. Whatever that thing was, it had already gotten to him. We ran until morning, then stopped, then speak. When we gone back to the main trail, I turned to look behind us, and I swear, in the distance, in the tree line, I saw it, watching, just standing crooked, its head tilted like a dog trying to understand a word. We told the ranger station there'd been an animal attack. They sent a search party. We gave them the coordinates, but we didn't wait around. That was 2 days ago. Yesterday, I got a text from Gabe's number. It just said, Help, it's wearing my face. Edit. We went to the police. They checked the number. The text didn't ping off any tower. It came from an unknown satellite uplink. I'm leaving the state. I don't think we were supposed to see it, and I don't think it's done with us. Wasn't planning to post this here. In fact, I haven't really told anyone the full story in years. But I've been hearing things again. Late at night, faint whistling outside my window, even though I live on the third floor of an apartment building in a city. So yeah, I guess it's time. This happened in the summer of 2017, during a camping trip that was supposed to be one of those get off the grid, no phones and just nature weekends. It was me, Mark, my girlfriend at the time, Jen, and our two close friends, Louis and Tara. We were all in college and had just finished finals, so the trip was kind of a reward slash reset. We picked a remote spot in the Apachean foothills, somewhere in North Carolina. Not an official campsite, this was way out in the woods. Louis was the outdoorsy one and had mapped out a trail that would take us to a small clearing near a stream. No service, no roads, it's just us and the trees. The first day was fine. We hiked, set up camp, cooked over a fire, classic camping vibes. Jen and I shared a tent, and Louis and Tara were in the other. That night we stayed up telling stories and watching the stars. No weird vibes, no quote something felt off end quote, none of that cliche stuff. It was normal, peaceful even, until around 2 a.m. I woke up to Jen shaking me. "Do you hear that?" she whispered. At first I didn't, and then I did. A soft, slow whistle. Not a tune, just a whistle. One long, airy note, maybe 5 seconds long, then silence. Then it repeated. I sat up and listened. It was far off, deep in the woods. I figured it was the wind or maybe an animal. But Jen looked genuinely freaked. "That's not normal," she said. "That's not the wind." I got out of the tent and shone my flashlight around. Louis was already up, crouched by the fire pit. He heard it too. Tara was missing. Her sleeping bag was empty. We started calling for her, thinking maybe she'd just gone to pee in the woods or something. But she didn't answer. That's when Jen pointed. There, just beyond the edge of the trees, maybe even 30 feet away, stood someone. At first I thought it was Tara. Same height, same hoodie she'd been wearing, but she was standing completely still, her back to us. Then the whistling started again. I swear to God, it was coming from her direction. I called out, "Tara?" She didn't move. Louis started walking toward her, but Jen grabbed his arm. "Wait." The figure slowly turned around. It looked like Tara, kind of. Same face, same features, but her skin was wrong. Too pale, almost gray, and her mouth was wide open, but not moving. The whistling was still happening, still coming from her, but she wasn't blowing, just standing there, with her mouth open. Then she just vanished. Not turned or ran, just gone. 1 second there, and the next second, empty forest. We bolted. We didn't even grab our gear, just ran until we found a dirt road and followed it for what felt like hours. Eventually, we came across a ranger station, half dead from exhaustion and panic. They thought we were on drugs or had gotten lost. They sent out a search team for Tara, but they didn't find her. Well, not exactly. 2 days later, they called us, said they found her jacket. It was hanging from a low tree branch deep in the woods, almost 20 miles from our camp. Pinned to a collar was a scrap of notebook paper. It was in Tara's handwriting. Just one sentence. "Don't follow the whistle." We never saw her again. No body, no evidence, nothing. Jen had night terrors for months after. Louis dropped out of school and moved to Arizona. I tried to forget, but last week I was lying in bed with the window open when I heard it again. That same long, airy whistle, and it's getting closer every night. Edit. A few people have DM'd me asking if I made this up. I wish I did. I really, really wish I did. I never planned on posting this, mostly because I know how it's going to sound like. A bad dream, or one of those creepypasta stories where you roll your eyes halfway through and go, okay, sure, buddy. But this happened to me, and ever since that night in the woods, things haven't been the same. Not for me, and definitely not for Mia. It started with a simple camping trip. I grew up in Washington and spent most of my weekends out in the woods with my dad. We used to do these week-long hikes in the Cascades when I was a kid. So when my girlfriend Mia said she'd never really been camping, like really camping, no running water, no cell service, I figured I'd give her the full experience. I picked a spot I remembered from years ago, remote, about 2 hours southeast of Mount Rainier, way off the trail maps. My dad and I found it by accident once. This quiet little clearing with a stream and a view of the ridge. I remembered thinking it almost felt untouched, like no one had been there in decades. Thought it'd be perfect. Spoiler, it wasn't. We parked the car near a fire road and hiked out 3 miles in. It was early September, still warm, but the deeper we got into the woods, the colder it felt. I thought it was just elevation or nerves, or maybe I was over romanticizing the place from memory. Mia noticed it too. Why is it so quiet out here? She asked, and she was right. No birds, no bugs, not even the usual crunch of squirrels in the underbush, just the wind and the sound of our boots on the dirt. We reached the clearing around noon, set up our tent, filtered some water, started a fire. The view was like I remembered, trees stretching for miles, a slow moving stream, and total isolation. We made dinner, told stories, watched the stars come out. It was everything I wanted the trip to be, until Mia pointed something across the clearing. Is that a pile of rocks? She asked. I walked over to check. It wasn't just a pile, it was deliberate, carefully stacked, maybe 3 feet high, with smaller stones at the base and larger ones on top. Not messy, structured like a marker. I bent down and noticed something sticking out from the base. A piece of wood, rotten, barely legible. I scraped some moss away and saw four carved letters: LMNA. That was it. No dates, no symbols, just that. Mia came up behind me, hugging herself. That looks like a grave. I didn't answer. She asked me to leave it alone, said it gave her a bad feeling. And to be honest, I felt it too. A kind of pressure in the air, like we were being watched. We went back to the fire, didn't talk much about it, just tried to enjoy the night. Around midnight, I crawled into the tent. I fell asleep to the sound of the wind, and then I woke up because it stopped. The wind, the stream, everything. It was completely, unnaturally silent. I sat up and immediately knew something was wrong. Mia was already awake, holding my arm. Her eyes were wide and locked onto the tent wall. She whispered, "Someone's walking around out there." And I heard it too. Soft, deliberate footsteps. Not an animal, not the skitter of paws or the heavy thud of a deer. Just slow, human steps. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Circling the tent. Then it stopped, right outside the entrance. For a few seconds, all we could hear was our own breathing. And then we heard it. Whistling. Two notes. Sharp, clear. Not a tune, not playful. Just a signal. I didn't move. Mia didn't either. We stayed frozen, listening. The footsteps started again, slower this time, moving around the tent. Another whistle. Same two notes. Then nothing. We sat there, paralyzed until first light. When we finally dared to unzip the tent and step outside, everything looked normal, except the stone pile had been knocked over, scattered across the clearing, and the wooden marker? Gone. That was it. I didn't care how far we'd hike in. I packed up our gear in 10 minutes, barely said a word to Mia, and we were back on the trail before 7 a.m. When we reached the car, I felt a wave of relief I can't describe. We drove straight home, didn't talk about the whole ride, but that night, I started looking things up. I searched every combination of unmarked grave, LMNA, Washington hiker deaths, anything I could think of. I posted on a few forums. Most people gave me the usual internet sarcasm, but one guy claimed to be a former ranger messaged me privately. All he said was, "We didn't go near that area after dark, not since the 70s. Some things don't stay buried." That line's been stuck in my head ever since. But here's the part that's keeping me up for now. 2 nights ago, Mia woke me up around 3 a.m. She was shaking. She said she heard whistling. Two notes, coming from outside our apartment. We live on the fourth floor. Edit 1. It's 3:18 a.m. I just heard it too. Two notes, same pitch, same timing. Looked out the window. No one's there. Just the wind moving the trees. Except there's no wind tonight. Only the whistling.